We'll be starting with the session of Fireside Chat with our CEO Bhashini. I would like to invite Amitabh sir on stage, please. A huge round of applause for the sir. Sir is serving Bhashini from last 2 years, implementing Bhashini on ground and ensuring it's up and running. So I'll be asking some straight questions, sir, please. I'll be asking some direct questions also. I hope I'll be in the office, sir. Okay, can we have our doors closed, please? It's a closed door. Swati, can we have a closed door session, please? First of all, welcome, sir. We are interacting with the startups, innovators, and panelists since morning. And we discussed a lot of things about what Bhashini is doing, adoption of AI. We focused on the participation of startups. In overall Startup Mahakumbh, we have seen that a lot of startups are here and they're coming to the pavilion, they're asking for what are the offerings, how they can get good business. So I would like to ask you a question, direct question. What Bhashini is doing for the startups under Udyami and Udyat, and what is the current pace, and what are our plans for the next 1 year to assess the startups in terms of AI?
Yeah, I think, one of the things which we always try to take up is, what we should be doing and what startup should be doing. Yeah, that's the first phase, that is the scope part of it. So what we have decided as government and as system is that we would be investing on the core technology which is capital intensive. We will be enabling the ecosystem so that the technology gets developed further. That is the second part of it. We would also look at the R&D part of it and fund the R&D which will improve the models and the accuracy of the models. And we would also look at how do we increase the adoption of the technology, because at the end of the day, the technology is serving an objective, and the objective is to actually transcend the language barrier. Obviously, the R&D, the technology, all the other things which are around, are something where the investments would be made from the government. What we are expecting startups to do, and there is something which we should be trying to work upon, is to help and assist us in all of these activities. So the first activity which I talked about is growth and adoption, which can actually be helped by building up applications. And we are wanting you guys to build up the applications which are based on the technology which has been developed. There could be challenges with respect to your application and your domain, which we would like to have a feedback and improve upon it. The second part of the thing which is there is that there is, language is any knowledge or any AI tool or anything which it's something which we have learned over a period of time. The mankind has learned over a period of time. The child learns over a period of time. So it takes time for it to mature, and it requires a lot. It is a data hungry system. And not only data hungry system, it is digital data hungry system, right? So we are looking at people who can help us to create the digital data or help to build the digital data. So that is a second piece of the thing which we are looking. We are looking at applications. We are looking at building digital data. We are looking at, what we have done also needs to be vetted on the field, right? And language, incidentally, is one of the most important thing which has to be vetted on the field, because rest of the things are going on. So this vetting is the third piece which we are looking at from the startups who are working. So we are looking at applications, we are looking at data, we are looking at the things which can be vetted and feedback can be given to us, and there are parallel corpus which is created. So that's the third piece of it which we are looking at. And obviously there are allied things which are related to the on-field trials. There are integrations, there is system level integration, there is integration with respect to human computer interface, there is, other things which we face challenge in terms of how to make the job or how to increase the productivity. So that is the other areas where we are looking at what startups should do. Now, towards that, what we are trying to do, and of course, being a government outfit and setup, we have a process and a system to do that, and those are mainly comes out with as a hackathon or as an innovation challenge. Or sometimes it is a RFP which comes out. So these are the three mechanisms by which the startups can engage with us and work on the problem statements which are given by the given by the people. Now, one of the things which we always take care is that when there is a problem statement which we come out with, we have a sponsor for that problem statement who actually is saying that this problem statement is a valid statement, and should the solution come, which comes out and which is a winner, they will be adopting that solution so that there is a scale up which happens, and of course then the startup can go ahead and sell this application or its adaptation to different organizations. So the mode of our engagement, when a lot of people ask for it, it's basically on these three areas, which is hackathon, innovation challenges, and RFPs. When these engagements are announced, and some of these engagements are in the course of announcement, are the best way to actually look at it are social media handles, which are very active, and we would like you to follow our social media handles so that you come to know about it. Of course, this, as a government and other regulations, we are advertising it on the web. Our RFPs, innovation challenges are on the web. But that you don't visit the website every day, so it could be possible that you miss out. But if you're following the handles on all the 5 platforms, in one of the platforms, definitely you will be able to hit the innovation challenges when it announced. As regards what we are doing in future, we have just concluded 2 hackathons with our partners. We are in the process of having one innovation challenge which is ongoing. And as you would have heard in the morning, we are doing 3 more of them, right? And the intention would be that we repeat this sequence next quarter again and try to do more around it. But then we would like all the people to participate more, because that's when we get the interest and it is diversified. We would always like multiple people to actually win those things, so that there is a required mass of startup which builds up around the language technology.
So rightly said. So there is one misconception also that when a startup is building something and it is directly getting fit into a domain of a GovTech segment, it's very hard for a startup to find out. They go into that circles of GEM and other things. You prefer hackathons and GICs. So what are the quite good elements you see in a startup is right fit for the GovTech 2.0, or what strategies the startup should adopt if they want directly sell to government?
See, you have procurement methodologies which are there in government, and a platform called GEM which actually gives you an outlet of what you can do. And there are certain services which are listed out there, and you should not miss those things out which is there on the GEM. But when we are looking at solutions to a problem which does not, for which a product does not exist or a service does not exist, then only we go for this mechanism, which is the hackathon or innovation challenges. Otherwise, we look at RFP, and RFP we of course follow a 2-step process of empaneling based on the criteria which are laid there as far as technical is concerned, and then go for a price discovery process. But hackathon or innovation challenges are the way to move forward if there is a solution to be found out for a problem for which a normal product does not exist. That's the track path which we follow.
So mentioned that collaboration is a key factor when it comes to coming up with the innovation or solving any challenge or problem statement. The collaboration with startup happens. What kind of element a product or a startup should have? He has to serve to the government sector.
The government is when we are looking at it's serving citizens, right? At the end of the day, all the systems are serving citizens or businesses. These are two people, and ultimately businesses also serve citizens. So that is a thing which we have. But most important thing in this that when you are considering to work in government, your end customer is actually citizen. It is not the government itself. You are basically looking at either a service delivery, solving a service delivery problem, or a governance problem with the government. So you should be basically worried about how actually you would be able to solve the wide variance in terms of persona of citizens, because somebody can be very intelligent, somebody can be very less knowledgeable, somebody can have all the things which are there in the world and would have much more experience in life. What can be done? Somebody may not have. So, the most important aspect is that you have to create a solution which actually covers all stratas of society from a service delivery perspective or a governance perspective, and that is where the difficulty lies. And that is something which you cannot sit in the conference room or a office and make it. You have to actually go on the field and experience how the people are behaving before you start looking at building the solution.
I'm just now making a shift. I'm just coming to the main domain of the Bhashini, where we are working together to make sure that thing happens in the right way. How are you planning to tackle the challenges of dialect diversity and the inclusion of the other languages that are beyond 22 scheduled?
That I think there are two ways in which we are working upon it. One of course we have already launched the state language mission. With the state language mission, we are collaborating with various states, and we are looking at fulfilling those models, because AI is quite democratized. Bhashini should take credit of the AI democratization from the extent that it had already, open source all the models and all the data sets which were there. So now we have a democratized AI. So what we intend to do in the next few days as it goes by is to create opportunities for building those models through startups. So mind you, one of the innovation challenges which you will see is about building up and preserving the Kethi language which is there in Bihar and Jharkhand for land records. We will be looking at building dialects of all the languages which are there through startups where you would be doing it end to end. So look for those as we go by. And incidentally, that would be actually in collaboration with specific state governments, so that the outcomes are validated at that level itself. So currently, when we built the model, we validated outcomes at our end, and that obviously will have its own limitations. But if we validate it at that ground level, then it is best.
So, what is your view on that co-creation model on which that Bhashini works? Co-creation, does it have any limitations? Like if your model versus my model, that kind of thing goes into the market?
Yeah, your model versus my model is actually, when you actually look at it from that perspective, it's nobody's game. Obviously the models should have competition, but I guess that there is enough from the Western world which is giving competition to India. But if we are trying to do your model versus our model, the challenge which you will find is that we will, federate the data which we are collecting, because each of the applications is collecting the data. So if there are your model versus my model, then this model will hold his data and this model will hold his data, and hence both the models will never get to the level which we are looking at. So we have to prevent the data hoarding practices which we are getting into because of this intermodal, competition. But then should we actually, not have competition? That shouldn't happen, because there are people and smarter people who would be doing better job. And if there are no smart people today, it could be possible that there will be smart people tomorrow who would do a better job than what is being done today. So it's a difficult question, but I don't think that is your model versus our model is a problem. It's a problem of data hoarding, which is the challenge. And for that, the government had now taken the initiative of AI Kosh, where it is expected that all the data sets will be available to all the researchers, and hence the input will not be a problem. Then it depends upon how intelligent the person is to create a model. Currently, we have a challenge. We have a challenge of that certain input is available to certain models and certain input is not available to certain model. That is where the differentiation is getting.
Sir, how you envision use cases? Like in the panel discussion also we were discussing that not everywhere the AI is allowed, but language is an essential component. So how you envision and where this particular Bhashini as a component fits in Digital India and India AI vision?
See, use cases are generally envisioned when we are basically talking to people whom you heard in the earlier panel, and of course their organizations, because they in day-to-day thing they are facing problems. Now, language has been a problem for so long, so does that use case not exist is the question which you will start asking. Right, because these use cases would have been existing and we would not be knowing about it, or did they not know about it, or did we not know about it? The fact of the matter in this particular case is that we never knew art of possibilities before this solution came in. So we were not able to envision that this thing can also happen while we are trying to do something. So is it possible, means we never knew that, it is possible for a person to speak and computer to grab that speech and convert it into text. We never knew that. So we didn't have the possibility of dictating a note sheet to, a computer. So we work with, we know that when it is not possible, we will not build it as a use case. But when we had this particular service available, so use cases start coming up. So it's the art of use cases or art of possibilities comes in when you actually demonstrate what you have done to people, and then people start absorbing it and brainstorming it. And once they start brainstorming and then they know that this is possible, then they start collaborating and the coexistence model comes in. So coexistence and co-creation model comes in. So the issue which is there is that firstly, if I get an audience of a person to say that this is the art of possibilities, and this is what has been made possible till now, then the next question, the next thing comes up is that yes, if this is possible, then this is also possible, and that's how use cases get created.
Last question, but I'm again making a gear shift. 2 days back, Honorable Minister also mentioned that Indian startups are just not inventing on the use case. And when we talk about AI and language, we all the first thing that comes in our mind is the building an AI agent that can give the response. How you're envisioning what will be the next shift in terms of the use cases of solving problem, where there the conversational AI is also included, but an AI agent is not conceptualized, but a next step is taken. What?
See, different sectors would see it differently. If you actually look at it from a perspective of commercial sectors, they would look at it to use AI as a cost reduction tool. Now, cost reduction can be in multiple ways. You automate the repetitive jobs so that there is a cost reduction. In some cases, you reskill and retrain the manpower to shift it across and do newer jobs and abandon the older jobs because they are taken up by AI, right? So that is a shift which would happen in the industry segment. In governance, we are seeing governance and service delivery, which is basically the forte of government. We are seeing a lot of changes which would happen, and that would be a real innovation as I see it. Because hitherto, means while we were digital and automated in the corporate sector for long, but last mile has not seen digital inclusion, and that is where most of the innovation will happen. We would perhaps not have thought that there could be a chatbot which can actually answer the question, which eliminates the need of all the tiers in the government where the person can go and do the application. We never knew that the maps of India would be now on multiple languages to help people navigate it properly. We never knew that, a system, we can actually write a incident report by speaking to a machine. Those are innovations which will happen as we see, We still don't know, and we are experimenting with it, that the call center feedback can be automated using AI, where the text to speech actually asks the question, ASR is interpreting and absorbing the question, and then the text to text is actually translating and putting it into the system. Those are the systems which will get, today when we are basically looking at call center for any government organization, we say that we need 22 language agents to man those call centers. That will change, that we would perhaps not bother about how many language call centers which we have. We perhaps may not bother to, we perhaps will change the translating organizations and the publishers to a situation where we would say that they will all be content creating, maybe in different languages, but machine will automatically translate into things. So, you won't have a separate channel for, say, DD Bangla will not be a separate channel. DD Bangla would be perhaps a DD Sports channel, is creating content for sports, but whatever DD News in Delhi creates gets translated into Bangla, and that becomes the channel. So it's going to be a paradigm shift in the way the business models are going to take up in most of the organizations which are communicating and transacting with people.
I think a huge round of applause for Sir. The last example that Sir gave, that there should not be, in coming near future, we'll not be having different channels, but we'll be having an option to change the language, and then live streaming, you can hear in your own language. And the concluding remarks, Sir, any message to the Indian startup referring to what Honorable Minister said yesterday, new use cases, new innovation? We have to think on a very different angle now, because it's a beginning, but the beginning of the Indian AI ecosystem where startups are leveraging the models what Bhashini is making, what Indian government is making, or what Indian startups are making. Any specific comments and remarks you want to give, that how should they need to change their thinking in terms of reinventing their user journey?
Yeah, what Honorable Minister talked about was, about over-investment in one of the sectors or over-investment on certain ideas, which obviously is never good, right? The second important aspect which he had talked about is that there is very inherently, it's basically a logistic system and a cost arbitrage advantage system, which is not, again, leading to technical innovation. So one of the basic things which we are looking at today is a technical innovation in the fundamental sense, do a technical innovation. So that is the message number one. Now, technical innovation can be in deep tech, in AI, in vehicle, auto component, etc., etc. But do a deep innovation is what we are looking at. Second thing is that, when we have done an innovation, we have to actually invest on productizing it and have a way to, say that this works actually. It takes care of all the exceptions. It takes care of the edge cases which are there. When Mr. Prasanna Gupta was talking about in the just before this, that there are edge cases which are there in police. There are edge cases which are there in citizen services delivery, and those are the edge cases which should be in the system, which should be as a part of the solution. So that is the second important aspect which is there. The third aspect which we are struggling with and we should be looking at is how do we scale it up? Often we basically look at what is our valuation and can we sell it off. Now if that is the way in which we are going to build startup, that we do a deep tech and then try to look at valuation and sell it off, we are perhaps losing what we have done it. We need to look at how do we scale it up to make it, a 1 crore company to 10 crore company to 100 crore to 1000 crore. That is where the motive should lie. And the one of the most important aspect when we are scaling up, which is the basic thing, is that often we try to scale up not on the basic tech. What we want to do is to build surround systems to scale up, especially in turnover, which actually does not work. If an education company starts, or a content education or e-learning company starts selling hardware to, in the name of giving complete solution, and the turnover of the hardware is increasing the turnover of the content business which he's doing, then it's a wrong track actually.
Thank you for sharing your insights with us, sir. We are very grateful that you came and you shared your views with our fellow panelists and the startups and the innovators present here. A huge round of applause for the sir. And before we move to the next segment, we request you to do visit our Bhashini Pavilion. Our team is there. We request you to please go understand what Bhashini is doing, how a AI layer can be implemented using Bhashini. We are working with a lot of startups and would like to have more startups in the portfolio. In your use cases, you can use our Bhashini APIs that can be rendered through our NHLT platform. Thank you, sir.